Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your Saturn special horoscope covering Saturn's move into the sign of Sagittarius at the very end of 2014 for the better part of the next 3 years. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Saturn moving into a new sign does suggest that all of us in some way are going to understand that our most important learning is going to come if we pay attention to the lessons that we are being called to, if we pay attention, if we act practical, and if we put in the time to gain tangible results. Saturn, ultimately, it is my belief, and a lot of astrologers out there do believe, that Saturn is reward. Saturn needn't be difficult. Even though he gets a pretty bad rap, Saturn is saying manifest and honor the fact that we are incarnated. Honor the physical plane. And this is going to be a big lesson for all of us in some way. Saturn, as he moves to the sign of Sagittarius, will be speaking with Jupiter and Neptune and Uranus as well. All of this does speak to this call to be honest with ourselves, to put in the time, and to practically manifest, to move beyond what might be a dream, even a pipe dream, and actually do the work so that we gain something very valuable in the process, self-respect, which is ultimately what Saturn is truly about. Now, I have created a special video to look at Saturn, how Saturn moving into Sagittarius is going to speak to us collectively. But this video is, of course, for your sign. I thank you so much for being here. And I thank all of you out there who've been requesting these videos for months. Thank you so much for your trust in my interpretation of the sky. It will be a great transit. I do believe that. And it will be a great move as Saturn moves through the sign of Sagittarius. Enjoy. Hello, fabulous Capricorn. Thank you for being here. Saturn is now moving into the sign of Sagittarius, and this is the sign just before yours. So this means a few things. One is it means that just give it another 3 years and Saturn will be moving into your sign. Now, when Saturn does finally move into your sign 3 years down the road, I will be here to talk about it then. But when Saturn does move into your sign, it tends to represent a brand new cycle, one that is practical and grounded, given that Saturn is also your ruling planet. Where Saturn goes, a special focus for you goes as well. It really is that new area of life where you find yourself. When Saturn moves into the sign just before yours, it's more of an energy of preparation of what is to come. You find yourself driven to do certain things. You may not always understand why, but there is a part of you that is likely to kind of go on automatic now, where you see what needs to be done, whether it's the work in front of you. A part of you knows. You may not always consciously know, certainly. But a part of you know what it is that's in front of you that needs to be done, or where it is that you need to go, what it is that you need to see, what it is you need to understand if you are going to eventually get to where it is that you desire to go. Once Saturn, 3 years from now, Saturn does move into your sign, it's about really making it happen in a much bigger way. Right now, it's about doing the groundwork, doing what you're feeling called to, trusting the universe as well. And trust and faith becomes a really big matter in this part of the sky. What is really interesting to me, and this is true for all signs, I've been talking about this throughout the different signs, the Saturn specials, is that with Saturn moving into this part of the sky, and given the conversations that Saturn is having with other power players, which I talked about in the overview video, it does suggest that one big, really collective and individual lesson that all of us are going to be going through is around forgiveness, is around understanding where it is that each of us in our own lives is being held back by the resentments of the past. For you, this is going to become especially true, where it really is you understanding like having an interaction and feeling something, like feeling irked, feeling buttons pushed, and then having to sit with it, dreaming about it, so that you can really understand what's going on. And ultimately, the answer will always, always come down to some forgiveness that needs to happen. Now, this is true for all of us. It's going to be an overriding theme. But for you, this becomes even more so, becomes even more true. Where is it that you are allowing energy to go where you know it is being wasted? Where is it that you are getting in your own way? And that getting in your own way, yes, can happen in very practical ways when you do things that you know contradict ultimately where it is that you desire to go. But also can happen in very sort of energetic ways as well. And a part of that includes, as I said, holding on to resentments that you know have served their purpose, or that you know you don't need to carry anymore. Because when you do hold that resentment, ultimately you are continuing to give power to someone who very likely doesn't deserve it. So what is it that you're going to hold on to? And what is it ultimately that you are going to let go of so that you can more fully become you, or at the very least, so that you can be happy at the very least. So as I said, a lot of stuff is going to come out in the dreamscape, and I do think this is time to pay attention to a lot of your dreams. There also tends to be an element here of understanding endings and being present for them, being absolutely present for whatever it is that needs to end. So there's a part of you that knows in your spirit that you are preparing for something big and for something new that is coming up. And because of that, there's also going to be another part of you that's going to know in your spirit what it is that has served its purpose. Now, the first part of this cycle is going to be interesting for a lot of us. As I said, forgiveness is the big sort of overriding theme. Grounding ourselves, recognizing where we've been sort of getting, being escapist. And this idea of where you've been escapist is going to become that much more true for you, especially where for some Capricorns out there, if you've been one of those people who's been indulging in something as a way of escape, this is going to be a time when it's just not going to work anymore. You're going to have to deal with reality. You're going to have to look at what maybe you are not wanting to look at, what maybe you have been running from. So this is going to be your opportunity to do that as part of creating space for the bigger and better to find you. And boy, does it ever. You don't have to wait 3 years for it to find you. Actually, as we end 2016 and enter 2017, that's when a lot of the payoffs start to happen. That's when doing the right thing, facing those, inner critics that get in your way, the inner demons that get in your way, the doubts, the fears especially. Looking at yourself very honestly, looking at those automatic triggers that you're not even realizing, seeing what they really mean, and healing that stuff. Understanding that really the big key around this of moving forward in your life is going to involve forgiveness of yourself, of others, of the world, of whatever the case may be. But really understanding where it is that you are now ready to move forward with your life. You're not going to have to wait for wonderful new things to find you. You're not going to have to wait for Saturn to move into the sign, into your sign. Rather, once we get to the later part of this cycle, that's when some really good things start to happen for all of us. That's when the rewards start to come in very tangible and very practical ways. In fact, this can be a time really of good karma paying off big time. Good karma paying off big time based on what you've already done, what already happened long ago, or what it is that other people are doing for you on your behalf without you knowing it. As you move along, asking yourself these tough questions, as you move along, doing what's in front of you to do, sometimes very much on automatic. Okay, I got to do this. I got to get up. I got to go. I got to give my work 100%. Not always feeling very connected to the work, but doing it anyways. Knowing the steps that are in front of you to do. As you do that, other people are paying attention. Other people are watching. Other people are aware of ultimately what it is that you have to bring. what it is that you can actually bring that's going to help success all around and help bring them success particularly. And it is the good things that you do for others that are going to be part of this as well. So you've got this opportunity to do the right thing, to learn about yourself, to understand what that means, to put the past to rest, to create space. And then it starts to pay off with some very good karma that you've been reaping for a long time now. But now it pays off in a very big way, in some very big ways, actually. And I do think that, as I look at this cycle, I gotta say, I know that yours is a sign very much that wants to do in the world, that wants to achieve, because there's something in you that knows that self-respect is gained when you actually walk a path long enough to allow manifestation to occur. So you're on that path, certainly, in your own way, no matter how it might look to other people. On some level of your spirit, you know that you are on that path towards manifesting, honoring the physical plane, understanding that there is something very special to be gained when you demonstrate that level of self-knowledge and commitment to whatever your unique vision might be. So there's a lot to be gained for that. But sometimes it isn't that you go from A to B to C. Sometimes you might feel like you're going around in circles between D and E, back and forth. And you might feel like you're not necessarily going anywhere. But that's the moment to stop. That's the moment to strengthen your faith. That's the moment to go within, as hard as it might feel. That's the moment to go within and listen to your spirit. Is your spirit saying, no, actually you're not. You don't realize it. You're too close to it. But you don't realize you're making huge gains. That's very likely what your spirit is going to say to you. But if it isn't, it's about honoring what it is saying and how it is that you can get on that path. Even if it doesn't feel completely right, you know when it is right in your spirit. You know when a challenge is telling you that this isn't the way to walk anymore, or it isn't the way to walk, period. Or a challenge is telling you that you are being made better by walking this path. There is a difference, and you are going to learn to make that distinction as Saturn moves through the sign of Sagittarius over the course of the coming 3 years. One thing that I really love about this journey of Saturn is going to be, of course, as I said, the really good karma that you are going to be reaping big time as we approach the later part of this journey that Saturn is going to make through the sign of Sagittarius. And this really good karma is going to be that faith you demonstrated paying off. And it's going to be practical as well, with practical opportunities finding you that make you feel and make it very clear that all the work, all the driven, all the stuff that didn't make sense can come together in ways that absolutely surprise you. It isn't that you go from A to B to C, but rather it might feel like while you were caught in D and E, you didn't realize that you've actually gone way ahead. You're over at M, like you don't realize that when you're actually in it, but you are making incredible progress. This is also a time to trust whatever responsibilities come up for you. So as I said, there's an element here sometimes of having to address what needs to end so that space can be created. There's an element here of being on automatic. When a requirement shows up for you, it's like, okay, I got to do this. This is what needs to be done. And then doing it, just going on automatic and doing it. There is something to be gained from that. When it feels like you're not being as conscious as you'd like to be, really understand that there is a time for that. You will have time to catch up. You will have time to integrate. It'll all come together. But right now, you are going to do what's in front of you to do. You certainly are moving on a very strong path, and you are going to reap some amazing rewards coming up. It is about you trusting it. Some of the greatest blessings that are going to come for you now are going to seem to come out of nowhere and are going to be based on stuff you didn't know people were watching, you didn't even remember that you did, but are going to be based on the things that you've been doing all along. Be yourself. Stay connected to spirit even when it feels hard, and you will find that the rewards do manifest. And while you might think that rewards don't always manifest easily, sometimes it's not so much about that. It's not about what's manifesting easily or what's manifesting hard, but rather it is about the things that you put into place and allowing them to reap in their right time. Well, thank you so much for watching the Saturn special. It'll be a great journey over the coming 3 years. Enjoy.